Xenoblade's combat can be overwhelming, especially if you aren't used to MMO-style battles, so I'm gonna do my very best to break down the basics of combat from the beginning of a fight to the very end. At its purest form, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is all about managing meters. Auto attacks and cooldown timers fill arts meters, while well-timed arts fill the talent meter, and a number of things such as critical hits and well-timed arts fill the chain attack gauge. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's start with something broad. Classes. There are 3 different types of classes in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Attacker, Defender, and Healer. Those roles should be pretty self-explanatory. Attackers deal high damage, Defenders tank enemies and pull aggro, and Healers offer support for your party. It's important to keep a good balance of these 3 classes at all times. Classes are further divided by faction. Each class either falls under Keves or Agnes. This symbol in the top right corner lets you know which faction they belong to. For the most part, Keves and Agnes classes play the same except for one key difference. Keves class arts are on a cooldown timer, while the cooldown on Agnes class arts are tied to auto attacks. Every class has an auto attack. Once you're in range of an enemy, your character will attack at a regular interval. Different classes have different auto attack speeds. For example, Noah's Swordfighter class has a relatively quick auto attack speed compared to Senna's Ogre class. Depending on the class, successful auto attacks fill your arts meters. Arts are powerful abilities that can inflict a large amount of damage, set up combos, and heal and buff party members. Early on, each class has 5 unique arts, 3 of which can be equipped. Once an art gauge is full, press the corresponding button to use it. However, you shouldn't use an art the second the gauge is full. Instead, cancel an auto attack into an art. To do this, activate an art right as the weapon makes contact with the enemy. If you timed it right, a circle should appear on the screen. Canceling auto attacks into arts, and arts into other arts, and arts into talent arts speeds up your attacks, allowing you to do even more damage. Different arts serve different purposes, and it's important to check an art's description in the arts menu whenever you unlock a new class. For many, positioning plays a huge role. For example, Noah's Swordfighter class has 2 arts that are more effective with proper positioning. Sword Strike inflicts break when directed towards the side of an enemy, while Edge Thrust gets a nice damage boost from behind. If you're ever unsure as to which angle you're attacking an enemy from, you can reference the little arrow in the bottom right corner. An arrow pointing up means you're facing the enemy, an arrow pointing to the side means you are at the enemy's side, and an arrow pointing down means you are behind the enemy. While positioning is important for every class, attackers typically require the most precise positioning. Think about it, if defenders are successfully drawing enemy aggro, then that should give your attackers and healers free range of the battlefield. Arts can also be used to set up combos across multiple classes and party members. Pulling these off requires precise timing, a well thought out party composition, and a bit of RNG. Both combo strings are initiated by a breaker art. Noah's Swordfighter class starts the game with Sword Strike, which, as mentioned earlier, inflicts break with the proper positioning. Lands can follow that up with Bull Rush, the Heavy Guard's topple art. From there, you have 2 options, a burst combo or a smash combo. For a burst combo, you'd want to follow up a topple art with a daze art. Yunie's Medic Gunner is your best bet here. Finally, you'll want to hit the dazed enemy with a burst art. Successful burst combos will strip an enemy of its rage status, and they will drop more loot. Alternatively, once you've toppled an enemy, you can follow it up with a launch art which sends an enemy into the air. In this short-lived state, enemies become more vulnerable. You can finish off the combo with a smash art which spikes the enemy back to the ground and delivers a nice bit of damage. Fortunately, you don't have to manually initiate each art in order to pull off one of these combos. By default, your party will automatically chase these combos as long as they have the right arts equipped and they aren't cooling down. You can even hold ZR and press left on the D-pad to specify which combo you'd like the party to chase. I prefer to play as an attacker because that means I can usually kick off the combo by using a breaker art. If you'd rather carry out these combos manually, you can switch between characters mid-battle by holding ZR and using L and R. Early on, you can't actually complete these combos because you won't have the proper arts and classes unlocked. There are also some classes that can't contribute to these combos with their basic arts, so keep this in mind as you tinker with your team composition. For easy reference, Breaker, Topple, Daze, Burst, Launch, and Smash arts all have symbols that indicate their effect to make things a little easier as you flip through menus. As you land arts and critical hits, your talent art gauge will fill up. This is a powerful art linked to your specific class. Like standard arts, these can be cancelled and have a wide range of effects. Some can contribute to the aforementioned combos, others can inflict debuffs on enemies, or they can pull aggro. For example, the Sword Fighter's Overclock Buster deals extra damage to Dazed enemies, while the Ogre's Pressure Drop launches a toppled enemy. Okay, so now we have the basics of classes, auto attacks, arts, combos, and talent arts. These 5 pillars account for the moment-to-moment combat gameplay. Land auto attacks, cancel auto attacks into arts, chain arts together for combos, and utilize talent arts. With that out of the way, let's talk master arts and fusion arts. This is where things get a little more complicated, so bear with me. As you level up different classes with different characters, you will unlock master arts for specific characters. For example, if you change Noah's class from the Sword Fighter to the Zephyr, you can unlock Zephyr-specific arts that Noah can use regardless of his class. There are some restrictions, but this means you could give Noah Defender arts even if you think he makes a better attacker. Master arts are mapped to the D-pad, however, you'll need to level up to unlock all 3 master arts slots. You can use master arts the same way you would regular arts, or you could combine them with regular arts to create fusion arts. When you equip master arts, be mindful of where you equip them because that will determine which art they will fuse with. Master arts mapped to up on the D-pad will fuse with arts mapped to X, right on the D-pad will fuse with Y, and down on the D-pad will fuse with B. In order to use a fusion art, first both the master art and standard art must be charged. Then hold ZR and press either X, Y, or B. Fusion arts are handy because they deal more damage, they combine status effects, buffs, and debuffs from both arts, and they can increase your interlink level. We'll get to that later. Keep in mind that unlike regular arts, master arts aren't charged at the beginning of battle, meaning you'll have to wait a bit before you can utilize them. I typically kick off battle using my standard arts, but once I get the ball rolling, I predominantly use fusion arts. You can also set your party members to prioritize fusion arts by pressing ZL and right on the D-pad at the beginning of a battle. Alright, let's circle back on interlinks now. New to Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is the interlinking mechanic. This allows 2 compatible party members to transform into a cool mech thing. While in this state, you deal extra damage and your arts have no cooldown. The catch is that you can only stay interlinked for a short period of time before it overheats. Like standard arts, interlinked arts can be cancelled into each other in order to fill up a different talent art gauge. Normally, if an interlink overheats, both party members will be kicked out of the state, even if they are mid-attack. However, if an interlink overheats during a talent art, the interlink will finish the attack before ejecting both party members. I typically wait until the very last second to use my talent art in this form. While different interlinks serve different roles, all can deal a hefty amount of damage if used properly. There is an added wrinkle to interlinking though. Your interlink level, a number located in the bottom left corner, can improve the effectiveness of your interlink. If you activate a level 3 interlink, some arts may have additional effects. For example, Noah and Mia's interlink can deal break damage on all enemies if the interlink level is at 3. It's also worth noting that interlink level resets at the start of a battle or once an interlink is severed. So how do you level up an interlink? Fusion arts, of course. While fusion arts are more effective, the main reason you should use fusion arts is to level up your interlinks. This will make your party a lot more efficient across the board. So, with master arts, fusion arts, and interlinking out of the way, let's move on to chain attacks.
Bring it home! You're finished!
Chain attacks are nothing new to the series, but they are different this time around. Once the chain attack gauge is full, press plus to initiate it. This will pause the battle and let you choose one of 3 chain orders or high damage attacks that have secondary status effects. In order to carry out one of these chain orders, your TP must exceed 100. To do this, each conscious party member will be allowed to attack once. Above each party member's portrait is a number. That number represents the base amount of TP they can contribute to the TP gauge. This number can vary based on a handful of factors, but it will always start at the number above the portrait. Once you exceed 100 TP, the chain order will carry out and you'll start the process over again. The goal is to get your TP as high as possible while using as few characters as possible in order to carry out multiple chain attacks. The longer you can keep a chain attack going, the more damage you'll deal and the more experience you'll get afterwards. Classes also play an important role in chain attacks. If you begin a chain order with an attacker, you'll get a first blood TP bonus. Healers will max out your TP at 99, allowing you to carry out additional attacks. Completing a chain order with a defender will reactivate the party member with the most TP for the next chain order. You also get a TP bonus for utilizing party members that match the class of the chain order. Additionally, you can also carry out smash and burst combos during chain attacks if you have the right arts equipped. How high you get your TP determines how many characters are reactivated for the next chain order. 100 to 149 will reactivate one party member, 150 to 199 will reactivate 2, and 200 and above will reactivate 3. The more party members you manage to reactivate, the longer your chain attack will last. And that pretty much covers chain attacks. Just kidding. Let's talk about Ouroboros Orders. Light gameplay spoilers here in 1, 2, and 3. Okay, once you unlock Interlinks with all party members, you can set up Ouroboros Orders by carrying out chain orders between two party members that share an interlink form: Mio and Noah, Lanz and Senna, and Uni and Tyon. Once both of those paired off characters complete a chain order, an Ouroboros Order will appear in the chain order selection screen. Choosing an Ouroboros Order will reactivate every party member. Once you've maxed out the TP gauge, your interlinked party members will carry out an incredibly powerful attack. The downside is that the chain attack will end after an Ouroboros Order, unless you start a chain attack with an Ouroboros Order. If you activate a chain attack while a level 3 interlink is in use, then you can carry out 2 Ouroboros Orders from the interlinked characters. Now, I found standard chain attacks to be a bit more effective for my party composition, but if you want to deal a lot of damage quickly, then this is probably the best way to do it. Alright, I think we've covered enough ground for today. There's still a lot more to dig into, but I think this is a solid foundation for first timers and veterans who might need a refresher. If you'd like to see another one of these videos, let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, if you have any specific Xenoblade related questions, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter @JacobDeck. Thank you so much for watching.